So we're going to turn some time over now. We have our next speaker, and we're pleased to announce that Dr. Gibbs is here. He's going to share some incredible insights on nutrition. So now we got live speakers, so we're not just going on Skype anymore. So now, I mean, if you want Skype from over there, you can Skype from over there. So maybe you can tell a little bit about yourself. I'll let you do your brief little intro, but just know that Dr. Gibbs is an incredible resource as far as, well, you can tell your story, but you've got some incredible insights as far as nutrition and how to help people make a big difference in their life. So I'll turn the time over to you. So.
Actually, I need to get plugged in real fast.
Okay, you're good.
It's a shortened version of the
Yep. You want this
today.
little?
Yes. Thanks.
I'll plug it in for you.
Thank you. Lots of wires. How y'all doing today? Oh, sorry, I almost kicked in my southern accent there for a bit. I was doing a series of lectures in Texas and Alabama and Mississippi last year, and I picked up the habit of y'all. It is a very convenient word. Until you get like in North Carolina or something, and then if y'all like, you're all together, that means like, are you dating? I didn't even know that. This family walked in, I'm like, hey, y'all together? They're like, no. What are you talking about? So they use y'all differently than we do up here. Before we get going, I'll just do a brief introduction on myself. Wish I would have had Drew do that. I really hate talking about myself. Who here has seen the movie Medicine Man? It's kind of the easiest way to describe what I do. With Sean Connery. You haven't watched that? It's a cool movie. He gets to, he's in South America, he lives with this indigenous tribe, and he discovers a cure for cancer in this movie just before like the environmentally unconscious people like bulldoze down the tree that has the ants that cure cancer, right? Anyway, that's kind of what I do for a living. I am a pharmacognosist, so I'm the person that does get to live with indigenous tribes, travel around the world, discover new phytochemicals, and find out their medicinal properties. Now, in order to do that, there was a lot of schooling involved. A lot of that schooling was about how foods affect our bodies. So I had to study hematology, physiology, of course, macro and microbiology. But my degree is in ethnobotany and organic chemistry, if you know what that is. Ethnobotany is basically the traditional uses of plants, like how we use plants as medicine. Then organic chemistry is breaking those down, figuring out what active ingredients are in those plants. Vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, things like that. So that's me in a nutshell. Pharmacognosy is what it's called. I started a company about 17 years ago called Health Education Corporation because I love teaching. I love speaking like this, especially in small groups like this where we can do questions and answers. And we're going to totally do that later on. In fact, it could make up usually the longest part of what we talk about because everybody's always got tons of questions about nutrition and how they should be eating. I mean, even this guy behind us here, he's on the paleo diet. There's some pros and cons to that, but we'll talk about some of those things if you've got those questions later. But for starters, I want to ask you guys a question first. And feel free to answer. Again, it's a small group, so we can get intimate here. So just shoot out the answer if you think you know it. And you should know the answer to the next few questions I'm going to ask you. But number one, why did you come here today? To learn about health. Good. You know why you're here. Perfect. Some people don't. Like my wife dragged me. I didn't want to be here Saturday morning. It's beautiful. I want to be up on the slopes. Next question then. This one's actually on my PowerPoint. What is health? There's answers there for you so you can cheat if you want to look, but I don't like the top one. I don't believe that the absence of disease is health, so Webster needs to get a new dictionary, even though that says it is the New World Dictionary. But yeah, I mean, I'm 42 years old. I'm fit. I think I eat well, but I'm still not where I want to be yet. And to me, health is having enough energy to come home after a full day's work and still play with my children, give them the attention they need, then have time for myself. And I've got a great backyard where I grow lots of different fruits and vegetables and things, and I like working back there too. That's health, like being able to put in a full 18 hours and still feel good at the end of the day and sleep well at night. I think health is different for every individual out there, but I love the second one because I think that's what health is for me. A state of well-being, how you feel about yourself, because feeling really is believing, right? I could be where I'm at right now and still be growing cancer inside of me and not know it. So health is just not the absence of disease, right? I could say, oh, I'm disease-free right now, so I'm healthy, but it's not true. So hopefully most of you kind of understand what it is you're wanting when you come here, when you say, I want to be healthy. Well, what is that for you? Okay? Is it, I want to drop 20 pounds? Or is it, I want to add 6 inches to the biceps or whatever? What is health for you? Find that answer because it is going to be different for each one of you. What is it you're trying to accomplish? And there is one thing you need to understand about health. Go to the next slide here. Oh, where is my... Oh, it said it right there. Sorry. I actually, in my new one, have a whole slide just for this now. Good health, you guys, is a journey. Okay? It is not, you just don't wake up one day and say, I'm here. I'm healthy. I've done it. I'm done. Okay? It's not a destination. It is those little tiny decisions that you make every single day that will determine whether you are on that journey towards good health or whether you're traveling down a road of poor health and disease and degeneration. And those little tiny decisions every day, you guys, they're subtle. Am I going to have a Diet Coke or not? Am I going to eat that whole pizza or not? Am I going to go for a walk just for a mile? 8 minutes, or not. It's those and we all make those decisions every day, right? Am I going to go to bed at 10 or am I going to stay up and watch a movie till midnight tonight? Or am I going to wake up at 6 a.m. or am I going to sleep in today? Every day you're making dozens of these decisions. Am I going to brush my teeth with fluoride toothpaste? Am I going to wash my hair with sodium lauryl sulfate rich shampoo and continue going down that road towards cancer? Am I going to chew gum that contains aspartame or drink soda pop that contains aspartame? These are the decisions that you make multiple times a day. And those are the decisions that are going to change your life. If you start making right or wrong ones, your life will change. So, how do we develop poor health? Right, good. You guys are listening. Awesome. Ignoring all the little warning signs that your body gives you. You know that you should go to bed at 10:30 or 11 or before that, if possible. Your body tells you, and yet, I got to get this project done today. I only have this time for myself, so I'm going to stay up all night and watch movies. Or, I just need to have that Diet Coke. Okay? We ignore the warning signs that our body gives them, and recently, even though I don't like our government as much as the next person, the government has actually even intervened and puts those warning signs on the labels. Who here has some like diet chewing gum on them right now? Diet chewing gum, sugar-free chewing gum. Pull it out. Or who has a Diet Coke on them? Nobody? Whip it out. She's got one. I got it. No, okay. Okay, look at that package. Yeah, there's one back there. Pull out your chewing gum package. In bold, what's on the ingredient list? What's bolded? It's bolded. What does it say? You probably can't read it because it reads like a ChemLab project. Yes, phenyleneditronics. Sorry, you did good. Why is that bolded? It's because it's dangerous. And the government wants to warn you about it. And it's there right on your package, and you ignored it. Yeah, that's true. That's going to be one of those things like in 5 years, they're not just going to bold it and say, warning, this product contains phenylenediamine. They're going to say, warning, this product contains phenylenediamine, which has been known to cause all types of cancer. That's they'll probably have to add that, kind of like the cigarettes. You know, cigarettes used to just have a little warning. And then they used to only sell them to adults. And now they have these big, bold, warning this product causes birth defects, warning this product causes heart disease. I think there's probably 30 some odd diseases that they write on those different cigarette packages now, depending on what the government tells them to write. It's a warning sign that our government has finally intervened on. Phenylalanine is in everything diet. So all of you are here trying to lose weight and you're all causing cancer. Okay? Because if it's sugar-free, it's going to have aspartame in it, if it's in the commercial marketplace. Okay? So your diet gums, your diet sodas, your sugar, your fat-free yogurts, your diet this, your fat-free and sugar-free, basically all contain aspartame, okay, which is a cancer-causing ingredient, highly carcinogenic. Yes?
I actually recently gave up aspartame, and so
Good.
I went on a search for gum that didn't contain aspartame. And so I was willing to go to full-on sugar.
In the U.S., it's hard.
It has aspartame in it.
Yeah, in the United States, even Trident has gotten off that bandwagon.
Bubba has aspartame in it.
Yeah, yeah. Trident started advertising anti-aspartame, which is weird. They started advertising with xylitol, and xylitol's decent for you if you consume large amounts of it, you get a stomach ache. It's not bad for you, you just get an upset stomach because it's hard to digest. But even their recent gum says with xylitol right on the front package, but you turn it over and it's got xylitol, and right after xylitol is aspartame. So they still keep aspartame in it. I don't know why. It's stupid. Outside of this country, it's very easy. In fact, Canada, aspartame is outlawed. Mexico, it's outlawed. So you can go across the border and buy Colgate without fluoride and aspartame. You can buy Dentine with xylitol instead of aspartame. I mean, it's funny because all the manufacturers here make the aspartame stuff for the US market, but make xylitol stuff for the foreign markets, right in the same facilities. Anyway, we've got warning signs all over us. Parabens in your deodorants and your day creams and night creams and cosmetics and skincare items. This is a preservative that we use in our country that's also banned in other countries. When we ship things to Canada, so like Dove has their after shower body lotion or something, they'll make a batch here for the US that's high in parabens, which are known to cause breast cancer, and then they'll make a batch that they ship to Canada without parabens.
Is it because it's less expensive?
Yes, it's a preservatives help the shelf life of the product, so if it doesn't sell, they can turn around and sell it on Amazon.com 2 years later and stuff like that, okay? And it's still good, it still won't have a high bacterial count. Aspartame, titanium dioxide, this is also in a lot of our deodorants. This is the big one that's in all of our deodorants. You women wonder why breast cancer starts right here on the side of your breast, right in your lymph nodes near your armpit. It's where your lymph nodes are. And you put deodorant on every day and you got the wires, the aluminum wires in your bras and all that stuff, and then you wonder why you get breast cancer when you're 45. And yet you're exposing your body to aluminum since you were 12 years old. You know, it's a no-brainer. Men get breast cancer too, same area. We use deodorants a lot as well. I haven't used deodorant for 6 years, so you guys on the front row, don't get too close. Just kidding. No. There are tons of ways to alleviate body odor without using deodorants. I haven't used deodorants in about 6 years. So I actually buy the slow crystal in the Philippines. You can get them here. They're not as good though. And then I put a drop of essential oil on it. I use these citrus oils because they kill bacteria. So I smell like grapefruit right now. I put grapefruit oil on this morning. Yesterday was lime, but it works. I'm a single guy. I date. Gave a girl a hug the other day, and she like held on to me. And she's like, "You smell yummy," you know. So, because I actually used one. It was a doTERRA oil. I'm not advertising for doTERRA. Okay, they've got their issues too as a company, but they've got an essential oil called Citrus Bliss, which smells like a creamsicle, and it is yummy. And I use that when I go on dates. So. All right. Anyway. So yeah, you can totally read the labels, guys, and if it reads like it's got harmful ingredients in it, something that you can't pronounce maybe, or you know, that reads like a chem lab project at your local university, and yet it's supposed to be natural or good for you, then don't use that stuff. if you can read it and understand it and it comes from foods, I mean, this is just the general rule of thumb, okay? Then use it by all means. That's what we're supposed to use. But we live in such a chemically ridden society nowadays, and then we all wonder why cancer is the #2 leading cause of death in the United States. In fact, the numbers, you guys, will abhor you. And just to throw a few stats out before I move on, since we've got time, right? How long do I have, by the way? Till noon or something, or what? Till they fall down and say we're starving? Oh, crap. I really better move fast then. Yeah, I don't know if I've got time. But anyway, well, now I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? I was going to tell you, yes, cancer stats. Okay, did you guys know about 600,000 U.S. citizens died in the Civil War, right? So if you calculate both sides, everybody, in 4 years of war in the United States, about 600,000 people died. This year alone, over 890,000 people will die of cancer. And that number's up from 2002, which was only about 690,000. So almost 1 million people every year, not in 4 years of war, but just in every year of living, the same amount of people that died in the entire Civil War die every year from cancer. And it's the #2 cause of death. The #1 is heart disease. Both of these, you guys, diet and lifestyle related. Can you imagine almost 2 million people dying every year? And yet it's not on the news. All you hear on the news is about the 15 people that died in Afghanistan. And that happens every day. And we're at about 6,800 troops right now on the entire war of terrorism since 2001. 6,800 U.S. soldiers have died since 2001 on the war on terrorism. And it makes headlines every single day. And 2 million people die every year from heart disease and cancer, and not one headline on it. Interesting. You don't develop poor health overnight. That's kind of a common, we all know that. Cancer sneaks up on you, heart disease. These are lifestyle, lifetime diseases, okay? Unfortunately, these diseases are hitting us younger and younger ages. Heart disease was like unheard of unless you were over 60. Now we're getting them in our 40s, sometimes even 30s. Menopausal women, 30s. It's happening, okay? Cancer, we're seeing it in children nowadays. Obesity, we're seeing in children. I was raised in the 70s. Did you ever see a fat kid in the 70s? No. One in the school, and he's the one that got teased and bullied. I know it was bad, but that's what we did back then. Now, half the school's obese, so you can't tease a fat kid anymore. I'm sorry. I was one of those. You guys won't believe me, but I was. I was 5 years old and 90 pounds. Okay? I was the fat kid that got teased in kindergarten. So I can talk about it without sounding biased. If you guys want to avoid these diseases, you've got to have a plan. You've got to make those right decisions every day. And you can't just, oh, I'm going to, do something today, and when I'm 60, I won't get cancer. It won't happen to me. Because the stats say you're wrong. In fact, I could tell you right now, no cancer, yes cancer, no cancer, yes cancer, no cancer, yes cancer, no cancer, yes cancer. Because it's about 50% of people over age 60 are going to be diagnosed with cancer in this country by the year 2015. Okay? Heart disease, the stats are even a little more exciting, because at 65 years old, yes, yes, no, yes, yes, no, yes, yes, no, because it's about 70% of us over 60 will have some form of arterial sclerosis or blockage by the year 2015, over the age of 65. So you've got to have a plan. You guys, if you've got a business and you have your financial plan that you need to follow, and if you're going to retire at age 65 with $1 million in the bank, you've got your little financial plan, right, that you're working out. None of that means anything. None of that will mean anything to you if you're diagnosed with heart disease. My father, massive heart attack, had to have a quadruple bypass at age 72, and he retired at age 68. He had about $800,000 in the bank. That one incident drained him of $600,000. And it was a series of events. He had the massive heart attack. They went in and put in 4 stents, I think they put in 8 stents. They put in a couple extra stents in different parts of his arteries. Those stents, and that was a $200 and some odd thousand procedure, right? Those stents failed in 4 days. And they went in and put back more. So by that time, his insurance was drained. He had like a $4,000 deductible, and his insurance paid 80-20 up to the first $1 million, and then 40 something after the next $1 million or something. And so his out-of-pocket expenses for the first procedure was about $60K. 4 days later, they fail. And of course, it's not like an auto mechanic that you can go back to your doctor and say, hey, this didn't work. I'm not paying you. The hospital bills you regardless. So they had to go put in new stents. Those failed 2 months later, so they finally said, you know what, we're just going to take arteries from your leg, we're going to open up your chest, we're going to do a quadruple bypass because your stents keep failing. And that was another $400,000 surgery. His bank account was near Zippo by the end of his ordeal, after a lifetime of savings. And guess what? It wasn't cholesterol. It wasn't anything like that. It was a virus that caused the inflammation in his arteries. Just an immune system problem. Other than that, he was a pretty healthy guy. He had none of the risk factors of heart disease. So you've got to plan. And I built a little plan for you guys that you can write down. And this covers like even what would happen to my dad. If he had a stronger immune system, he wouldn't have gotten that virus. Things like that. But we're going to talk about the 4 things that your body needs to do on a daily basis and why it needs to do it. PLAN is an acronym. Purification, longevity, assimilation, and nutrition. These are the 4 things that your body does every single day, and I'm going to teach you some things that you can do to help your body do these functions better. You have 5 elimination organs. Everybody forgets the skin is like the largest elimination organ. In fact, your skin eliminates more waste every day than your colon does. Isn't that kind of gross, if you think about it? It's why we have to do laundry. You know, your clothes smell at the end of the day. Why? Because you've eliminated a lot of stuff every day, all right? Your lungs are your 2nd largest elimination organ. So every time you exhale, you're eliminating waste. Carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and stuff that your body doesn't need. And yet when we think of like purification, how many of us have done like colon detoxes and we do those fasting 2-week fasts where we're like purging our GI tract and stuff. Everybody always thinks of the colon when it comes to purification, and it's actually the least important elimination organ. How many of you know people who have had like a colonoscopy and a colon removal and things like that? You really don't, your colon's not that vital of an organ. Yes, it's very necessary to live a healthy life. But they can surgically remove it, stitch it together, and you got a little bag that you can go into, right? It happens. You can't live without your lungs. You can't live without your skin, okay? That kind of gives you the order of importance of these organs. And yet, how do we treat our skin? What kind of crap do we put on our skin? What kind of clothes are you wearing right now? Are you wearing petroleum clothing? Polyester, rayon, nylon? Things that are made out of petroleum products, all cancer-causing ingredients. And yet you put that on your skin, your largest elimination organ, the body's main way of purifying itself, and you gunk it up with crap every day. We use sodium lauryl sulfate in our shampoos. We use parabens on our skincare. We block our elimination system by blocking our pores with deodorant. I work out occasionally. Go with Brandon sometimes. And I've seen guys, after they're done in the locker room, they put their deodorants on and then they go like this with it too. Have you ever seen that before? Yeah, it's gross. I mean, they're like blocking their whole core source of elimination. And yet they do it. So we've got to be really conscious of what we're putting on our skin and how we treat our skin. You should be exfoliating when you're in the shower at least twice a week. You have a little loofah brush, right? Use them. They really feel good too. And when you're itching, that's a sign that you're not, exfoliating enough. If you get like itchy, especially in this dry weather in Utah, You need to moisturize with like natural moisturizers, but you need to be exfoliating more. The more you exfoliate, you women, you will, who said their husband's scared of getting older? Okay, yeah. What do you mean? You're like 20 years old. How old's your husband?
I'm 35, I'm 33.
Oh, okay, so you look pretty good for 33. You probably exfoliate a lot because that's a good way of staying young. Your skin cells reproduce. When you're in your 20s, you get a new layer of skin about every 4 weeks. Okay, because your skin cells are constantly reproducing and the old ones are falling off. When you hit age 32, that goes to about every 6 weeks. Age 40 is about every 8 weeks. But if you want to speed up that process, again, exfoliate. And your skin cells will keep reproducing at a higher rate, which means it's those dead skin cells that start causing the sagging. As the collagen and elastin levels begin to drop, you start getting the crow's feet and you start looking like you're older.
So what do you suggest for eczema? Like
I've got a protocol for eczema that would take 5 or 10 minutes to explain, but
So
it's very easy to fix. Yeah, eczema is an elimination problem. Starts with diet because, anyway, we'll get into all that. It's a whole bunch of sodium benzoates and things like that we use as preservatives that you just eliminate that from your diet, start exfoliation, work on some colon cleansing, and bam, eczema's gone in like 2 weeks. Yeah. Lungs, liver, kidneys, colon, these are the things that you need to do for your elimination organs. Good water. If you have not bought a water purification system for your home, that should be your first investment, okay? After whatever Drew tells you to do in his program. Because you drink water every day, and if you're not, you should be, all right? And if you're drinking the fluorinated, chlorinated, crap-filled water that our city gives you, our city basically doesn't look at health, our city looks at disease prevention, okay? They basically say, how can we not kill all of our citizens? Right? Because that would be bad. And so they chlorinate the crap out of the water so that the bacteria are killed, because we got tons, like you can't drink from our streams and rivers anymore. Okay, I did when I was a kid, and it was just fine. But nowadays, our deer populations, we got a bunch of sick deer running around out there because we took the wolves away and all this other stuff. So we've got Giardia and all this bacteria that they've got to flood our water systems with chlorine. Chlorine is so bad for your elimination organ, especially your skin, your liver, your kidneys. Get those water purification systems and get rid of the chlorine, okay, and that take out the fluoride, because it's not really fluoride they put in our water. It's called sodium monofluorochlorine or something like that. It's basically a chemical from cow manure, extracted from fertilizer, that contains small amounts of fluoride. It's really bad for you. It's also cancer causing, doesn't do much for your teeth either. Get that stuff out of your water supply. Clean air.
Are the water purification pitchers good enough?
The Brita pitchers are good enough. So run it through your drinking water through the Brita, because it's usually a ceramic. All you need really is a ceramic and a charcoal filtration system. And that'll get rid of the chlorine and fluoride. If you've got your own well, then I suggest you do an RO system, or like the neon fluorescent treatments, because you might have some bacteria in that groundwater as well. So, and sometimes carbon filters aren't enough to get rid of all the different types of bacteria and stuff like that. Anyway, think about where you spend the majority of your time. If you're a workaholic and the majority of your time's at your office, and try to get your boss to invest in an air purification system, okay? Just a HEPA one, they're $400 and they'll do 1,200 square feet, so it's good for everybody in the office. So if you've got a big office, maybe you need to get 2 or 3 of them. If you spend the majority of your time at home, then get a home air purification system, okay? Just something that gets rid of the pollen and the junk and the inversion stuff that's floating around, because even though you look out and you say, oh, look how crappy that is over there, you don't realize that you're in the over there, okay? You're in it, and you're breathing it. Exfoliate, we talked about. Proper clothing, cotton, wool, silk, I'm missing a whole bunch, hemp. These are the natural clothing fibers, okay? And that's what you should be wearing. And there's tons of cotton clothing out there. I'm wearing all cotton today, and I think my tie's silk. I don't know. I took the tag off. Oh, there it is. Yep, 100% silk. It's even written in 2 languages. And it's, I look for that stuff when I buy my clothing because I want my skin to be able to breathe. I don't want to clog it with polyester, petroleum-based products that don't breathe. And you even start noticing it. Once you start changing, you start noticing, like if you have polyester socks, your feet like get all sweaty because they can't breathe. But if you have cotton socks, they don't get that way.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because we're big hikers in our family, and so we get the wool cotton socks.
Yes, the wool and cotton socks, right? Because they, what do they call it? Wick. They wick the moisture. And avoid chemicals. And I mean like everything, you guys, in your food. I watch kids eat these Go-Gurts. Have you read the ingredient on that stuff? It's supposed to be healthy yogurt for your kids because that's what the label says. Well, flip it over and read the ingredients. I don't think there's like one natural ingredient in, because it's like hyper skimmed milk. Have you ever seen a cow produce skim milk? No. And then the second is high fructose corn syrup in Go-Gurt. And then it's cornstarch to make it thicker, because skim milk is not cream, and cream is how you're supposed to make yogurt, right? So they have to thicken it with cornstarch. And then there's a whole bunch of food coloring and preservatives in it. And moms think they're doing their kids a favor by giving them Go-Gurt. Oh, it's healthy, it's got probiotics in it, you know? Read your ingredient decks, okay? That's what it's called, that little square thing where the supplement and nutrition facts panel, it's underneath that. They bold that because they want you to see that, because they want you to say, oh, this has got 0 grams of fat. Well, that means it's like chemical probably, right? Because foods are only made up of 3 things: fats, proteins, and carbs, right? So if there's 0 fats, that tells you right there it's not food. And if there's 0 carbs, that tells you it's got aspartame in it. So 0 carbs, 0 fat means it's not food, and you shouldn't eat it. All right, so you can look at that if you want, but I want you to focus on the ingredient deck. Read those ingredients, and if it reads like food, like who's made bread before? Can you tell me the ingredients in bread? There's like 5.
Flour, yeast, water.
Yeah, and a little pinch of salt maybe. And if you get really creative, you might have 12 if you're using like 12 multigrains, right? But it's the same thing. Read your bread ingredients. Find me bread that has 5 ingredients in it. There's only 1 or 2 brands out there, okay? If it's got more than that, it's not real. So don't eat it. Watch that stuff. Let's talk about L. When I say L, I mean longevity. And I don't mean like I want to live to be 140 years old. That's not what I mean when I say longevity. I mean cellular longevity, okay? Every cell in your body has a life cycle. Red blood cells are between 90 and 120 days. Skin cells are between 4 weeks and 8 weeks, and depending on your age. But if we can maximize the lifespan of that cell, and your body doesn't have to produce as much, think about all that excess energy you're going to have. It is our cells, you guys, that produce energy, okay? It's called ATP. You guys that work out, you know why you're taking all these ATP boosters and stuff before you go work out, right? Because you need more energy. Well, every single cell in the body produces energy basically from glycol or oxygen, or a combination of both. Those are what your body breaks almost all nutrients down into, right? All your proteins, fats, and carbs become glycogen, or a type of amino acid, or glucose, which all convert into cellular energy. And if we can maximize the efficiency of those cells, yes, you will live longer, but you're going to live disease-free. Why? Because your cells have tons of energy to combat illness and eliminate free radicals and eliminate viruses, your immune system. You basically have like 3 major systems that consume about 90% of your energy. Your immune system takes about 33% of your body's energy reserves. Your digestive system is about 35%. That's why we all get like food comas after we eat lunch. You see that at the office, right? Everybody goes to lunch and they come back and they're on their laptops at 2 o'clock going, you know, falling asleep. It's because all that energy is being used to digest the food you just crammed down your stomach because you only took 10 minutes to eat lunch and you didn't chew properly and all this other stuff. But anyway, we'll get into that. What causes cells to age and die is called poikilocytosis. It's basically free radical damage, right? We've all heard of that. We all use antioxidants to prevent free radical damage. But unfortunately, you guys, like your berries and all these things that you're taking, they're like super wimpy antioxidants, okay? Even though they call them superfoods and stuff, the two most powerful antioxidants your own body produces, SOD and catalase, okay? There's another one, glutathione. It's pretty powerful too. They're like thousands of times more powerful than any berry or juice or something like that. Now, those things are good for us, okay? But they're nothing as far as antioxidant property compared to what your own body can produce. These enzymes that your body produces that breaks this free radical damage that causes poikilocytosis down. It's basically just the hardening and death of the cell. So keeping your own body's antioxidant supply high is very important, and that's where that ATP energy comes into play. So how can we do that? Stress is the #1 cause of aging and disease, okay? Reduce stress. If you've got to take 10 or 15 minutes to yourself, shut the door, have your little Calgon take me away moment or whatever, do it. Lock out the kids. I don't care if you have to go for a walk. In fact, that's actually a good thing because then you're getting a little bit of cardio in, plus you're looking at the scenery unless inversion stresses you out, you know. But find ways to de-stress. I do it right in my office. I'll shut my door and I'll lay down on the floor. I'll put my feet up on the chair, put my headphones in, bam, 10 minutes, I'm asleep. I get up about 15 minutes later, and I'm ready to go again. That was my de-stress moment, and I do that almost every day. My office is a mile from my home, so I either run home or do it in my office, whatever. Avoid carcinogens. Those are the things that I talked about at the beginning. The aspartame, the sodium benzoates, the parabens, the titanium dioxide, the aluminums. If those things are in your food or your clothing or your skincare items, get rid of them. Less than 10% animal protein. If you haven't had a chance to read the China study yet, read it. Or watch the documentary Forks Over Knives. That one actually was more inspiring to me. I mean, it's the same story and it's the same doctor. It's about T. Colin Campbell, who wrote the China study. But it's only an hour and 20 minutes, I think, and it's really good. We are omnivores, you guys, okay? So vegan, however you want to say it, is not the healthiest lifestyle. We're omnivores. We need a little bit of meat. But studies, extensive studies, like in the China study, have shown that if we exceed more than 12% animal proteins, we lead to a state of degeneration and disease. And yet in those same studies, they also show that if we have less than 6% animal protein, we lead to states of degeneration and disease. Yeah, in fact, dairy is the one that causes the biggest disease, so kind of avoid dairy if you can. That casein is really bad for you. You got to read the book or watch the documentary. Like, I don't do much dairy at all. I mean, I think it's weird that we're the only species that consumes the lactation byproduct of another species. You don't see gorillas sucking on elephant tits, do you? I've never seen that. So why would we drink cow's milk? Okay? Antioxidant-rich foods. Sorry, that was a bad visual image, I guess. But yeah. Veggies, fish oils, the colors. In my family, we have what we call a 3-color rule. Every single one of our meals we have to have at least 3 colors with. Interesting story. Not that I have much time, but my son, when he was 12 years old, he's 17 now, but he was out barbecuing, and he yelled back, he's like, "Dad, we got our 3 colors. We got pink, brown, and red. You know, what do you want?" As he's cutting the steaks open to see, you know. I'm like, no, that doesn't count. Those aren't the 3 colors I was talking about. So we have 3 colors with each meal so that we get our variety of antioxidants. Again, all these berry things that you see out there, the berry juices and the antioxidant pills and capsules, they're good for you. They're not, again, not even close to as strong as your own body's antioxidants. But again, we need that variety. We need the carotenoids. Every color has a phytochemical. And again, this is my background. This is my schooling. These phytochemicals help prevent cancer, help fight diseases, help boost our immune system. There's a phytochemical in broccoli, in the blues. Have you ever seen ripe broccoli, right? It's kind of bluish on top. That blue hue means your broccoli's ripe, and that's actually a phytochemical called indoles, I-N-D-O-L-E-S. Google that. Tons of clinical studies on indoles and NK cell boosting activities. So HIV positive, AIDS sufferers, I mean, they can take indoles and basically keep themselves healthy. We should be taking indoles because they're very powerful, again, immune boosters that'll prevent viral infections and bacterial infections. You guys want your kids, you know, going to school every day and not getting sick all the time? Give them a piece of broccoli every day, and I mean it, just a piece. And it's amazing. 6 months later, you'll be like, wait a minute, when was the last time you had a cold? You haven't got a cold, and yet everybody at school's sick. Just one piece of broccoli every day, it's amazing. It's got to be the ripe ones, no, not the green ones. So when you go get your broccoli, find the ones that have the little bluish hue on them, okay? A lot, just like any other food or fruit or vegetable, sometimes they get picked too early because people think broccoli's green.
So not frozen.
If it's got the blue hue, it's okay. Vitamins and minerals can be destroyed with heat and freezing, and especially enzymes, which are very important, we'll talk about later, but phytochemicals are the colors. So if the color changes by freezing and stuff, then it may be bad for it, but broccoli doesn't change color when it's frozen. If it's ripe when you freeze it, you'll still get the indoles out of it. So these are the things we can do to increase cellular longevity. Let's talk about assimilation. You are not what you eat, you guys. You are what you assimilate. That's why I like Star Trek and the Borg. Because what happens to our food? What's supposed to happen to our food? You know, I was born and raised on an Indian reservation in Idaho, in a small country town. Wasn't even a town. But the Indians, when we would go on the hunts with them, they would say a little prayer over the animal that they killed. They would, you know, thank you, Great Spirit, for giving me this animal. It will live on in me. And that's exactly what happens to our food if we digest it properly, if we chew it properly, if we eat it, you know, when it's raw and has lots of enzymes in it, things like that. We digest that food and it becomes part of us because it helps build new cells or it helps produce energy for our body, okay? Like the Borg. They don't destroy you, you become part of them, all right? When we eat food and it becomes part of us, that means that we digested it properly. And these are the things you need to do in order to have your food assimilated, all right? I'll get in, well, I won't get in, we don't have the time. There's tons of science on smelling, you guys. This little chemical factory right here knows what you're about to eat. Your nose knows. It knows if something's sweet or something's sour. It knows what chemicals are in here. It knows the pH of the food. And that's why when you're hungry and you smell something, your stomach starts growling. Because it smelled whether that food was a carb or a fat, and it starts preparing a pH juice in your stomach, which will allow those specific enzymes from your pancreas and your liver to start secreting into your stomach and digesting what you smelled. But that process takes about 10 to 15 minutes. And how many of us, in fact, even McDonald's is bringing back their 60-second menu. All right, we walk up there and we say, hey, I want a Big Mac. Bam, if it's not out to you in 60 seconds, it's free. And you know what? We get it in 60 seconds. We sit down and we snarf that thing in 60 seconds. We didn't even have step 1 here in the digestive process. Didn't even come into play, let alone step 2, mastication. Okay? I want you guys to try this at home or at a restaurant or something. Just don't stare because that's rude. But watch the person next to you as they're eating and count how many times they chew. The average is 4 to 5 times. And yet, literally, and I'm talking even rice, like I was experimenting the other day, even rice I needed to chew about 25 times before it became what we call chyme. Mastication produces chyme, at least according to physiology. In other words, it's a creamy, pasty stuff that you're supposed to swallow after you've chewed it. That's why we have molars and canines and all this stuff, because we're supposed to rip and tear and then chew with our molars just like you see cows chewing for hours and hours, okay? Now, when I started trying this with meat, You have to chew about 50 times before it turns into chyme. And I'll tell you, after like half of my meal, I was getting like muscles sore, like cramps right here in my jaw, because my muscles weren't used to working that hard. They should be, because I talk a lot, but chewing, I guess, is different muscles than just flapping your jaw. But we should chew at least 50 times solids, and soft stuff about 25 to 30 times. And watch that, because nobody does it. And it's one of the reasons why we all have digestive problems. You want to lose weight, you guys, chew your food properly. I'm dead serious. If you assimilate that better, you won't have all that energy forced upon your digestive system to digest that food, which steals energy, which gives you chronic fatigue, which makes you lazy. And if the food doesn't assimilate properly, it doesn't turn into energy, and it gets stored somewhere as cellulite. Because that's what your body does. It either burns it or stores it or eliminates it if you did too much. A healthy body burns it or eliminates it. In unhealthy conditions of stress and winter, you store it. So you're not going to be very successful at weight loss during the winter. If you're obese, yes, you will lose weight even during the winter, and you should. But if you're 5 to 10 or 15% over what your body's norm should be, the springtime is when you're going to lose that, okay? If you're 50% over what you should be, yeah, you're going to lose that 20 or 30% just by changing some things in your lifestyle and diet. But you're going to hit that plateau in the winter. You'll have to wait till spring. Enzymes. That means raw food, okay? Enzymes are found in raw food. Any freezing, any cooking, anything over 56 degrees Celsius, which is about 118 degrees, kills those enzymes, and you can't digest your food properly. So eat as much raw as possible. And that means raw meat. You can eat raw meat if you just killed it, okay? Don't eat raw meat that you bought at the grocery store. That'll make you sick. But I've been like trout fishing before. I'll pull that fish out. And of course, I lived in Japan, so it wasn't a big deal to eat sashimi. But some of the best trout, in fact, I don't even like trout, because if you wait till evening to cook it, it smells like fish. But if you pull it right out of the river and cook it, oh, it is so good. And you can even eat it raw right out of the river. And you won't get sick. Why? Because it's a living organism, right? The fish was alive, which means it wasn't sick, which means it has an immune system. There's no bacteria in the meat of a just killed animal. It's when they sit around for hours and hours and days, and then that bacteria starts breeding and growing in there, and then you eat that stuff raw, you're going to get sick. But raw food has enzymes, so the more raw you can eat, the better it's going to be for you. We won't get into the mid and lower stomach. That's a process that you can't control. If you do steps 1, 2, and 3 properly, these steps will automatically happen, and you'll have healthy digestion, healthy assimilation.
Should you be eating enzymes first, meaning eat the raw stuff before you eat the other stuff to help digest?
You should. Yes, that's a good point. I actually take an enzyme supplement because all of us eat cooked or processed food with every meal. You know, I try to eat at least 60 or 70% raw, but there's always going to be something. I'm not big into sashimi. I lived in Japan for 8 years. I still can't get used to eating raw food, raw meats. I've had raw beef, raw horse, raw deer, and I can eat it, but it's not like my favorite food. So yeah, I do take enzyme supplements, and that's something I know we'll ask questions about supplements later. I've got 2 or 3 supplements that I take every day, and they kind of follow the plan, what we're talking about here too. Nutrition. Getting the right nutrients at the right time, you guys, is so crucial. And you know what? There's no science to this. I was with you in the bookstore the other day, and there's like a whole row of health section. It's almost as long as the science fiction section, because it is science fiction. All those books, just throw them, burn them, get it. They're everybody's stupid opinions and ideas of how we should eat. And you guys, it's not rocket science. You're an omnivore. You're an animal just like any other animal out there, okay? Scientifically, when we break you down, you're nothing but flesh and bones. There's no psychology involved with this stuff. If you look at human history, whether you're a Christian and believe in creationism or whether you believe in evolution, it doesn't matter, because even Adam was a hunter-gatherer. okay, in the beginning. Because crops just don't spontaneously come out of the ground, right? He had to work for his food, which means for at least 6 or 7 months, he was roaming around trying to find something to eat. Okay, so I don't care if you're creationist or not, it doesn't matter. Our DNA means that we are supposed to be hunter-gatherers because in evolution, that was 50,000 years of evolution, okay, to form what you're seeing right here. And that means we were opportunists. And the whole paleo diet, that guy's amazing. I've got tons of respect for him. But it was hard to hunt and kill a beast. The paleo diet, in fact, we had to learn to hunt in packs like the wolves. Why? Because we're wimpy. We can't take on a bear by ourselves or a mammoth or whatever. We had to learn to do that. So what were we eating? Roots and berries. We were just like the bear. We were eating roots and berries and stems and bark and leaves. And occasionally we'd get lucky and kill something. So the whole idea of the paleo diet being mostly meat is not true. If you study history, that's not what man did. Unless it was mostly mice and rats and stuff that we could catch with our hands. Okay? So we evolved by being scavengers until we learned how to hunt in packs, and then we had a lot of meat, okay? Maybe. But if you look at human DNA and our digestive systems, we were made to eat nuts and plants and fruits in all their varieties when they were ripe, in the season thereof if you're LDS, okay? It's written right in your scriptures. And that's what we're supposed to eat, and if you deviate from that, you're going against your DNA and you're gonna have problems. Now, yes, if you want to do the Hollywood grapefruit diet, you're probably going to lose a crap load of weight in about 2 or 3 weeks. And as soon as you start eating normal again, you're going to put it all back on. That's what we call those yo-yo diets, okay? Up and down. Look at Oprah. She's famous for it, okay? 250 pounds one summer, 89 pounds the next summer, you know? I mean, that's what happens when you try to get all psychological and advanced about your eating habits. Just realize that you're an animal, so eat like one, okay? Variety and opportunistic. If it's there in front, and I will say the big thing, portion size. The problem with opportunity nowadays is we got a lot of opportunity to eat, okay? Shop the edges of your grocery store. That's the produce section, you know, things like that. It'll save you money. Buy foods when they're on sale. So here's the modern opportunist, okay? Because if they're on sale, it means they're ripe and in season, right? That's when they have the sales because they have an abundant supply of it, so it's on sale. So when it's ripe, when it's in season, and in variety. And then moderate your portions. That's the thing we have to watch about nowadays because it's just given to us nowadays, all right?
So does that include eggs?
Yes, I actually eat eggs. There's been tons of studies that show that eggs raise your cholesterol, but they raise your HDL right along with your LDL. So the healthy cholesterol is risen. The total cholesterol number is irrelevant. Everybody's total cholesterol is different, okay? My dad had a cholesterol level of 145 and had a quadruple bypass. His triglycerides were like 110 and had a quadruple bypass. Cholesterol and that stuff has nothing to do with heart disease, okay? CRP levels have a lot to do with heart disease. That's inflammation. In fact, they're even calling heart disease a disease of inflammation nowadays. They're not calling it a cholesterol disease anymore. That's another documentary you should watch, Fathead. It's on YouTube. Or read a book, The Cholesterol Heart Hypothesis, The Scam of the Century. That's written by Dr. Mudd. I know it's a long title. That one's more technical. Give that one to your doctor, and then you go on YouTube and watch Fathead, because that's comical and it's funny, but it's scientifically accurate. Huh? Fathead. Fathead. Oh, Fathead? I don't know. He's a comedian, but he's a comedian that did a lot of research. In fact, he even named senators. He went like really on the limb. Anybody that's tried to touch cholesterol and the whole cholesterol heart hypothesis is either wound up dead or getting their labs burned or their families like kicked out of the country. I mean, it's a $2 trillion business in this country. Statin drugs are the #1 prescribed drug in this country, and if you try to change that, you're going down. This guy even named senators that were involved in it in the movie Fathead. You got to watch it. It's pretty cool. All right, this is how we get our nutrients, right? Whole foods, variety and color. Natural, that's a word that's not regulated by the FTC, so it's kind of scary. Like even your vitamin supplements will say all natural, because to a chemist can't create something out of thin air, right? He has to use something from the earth, and so that's natural. Aspartame's natural. I had to take an amino acid and some other minerals that I found in the earth and combine them together in a lab experiment and create something so it's natural. When I say natural, I mean right up here, I guess, going back to this. It's food derived, okay? Balanced diet, no extremes. If you're LDS, that even says that in your scriptures, okay? You're supposed to follow the word of wisdom, which means eat foods in their season, eat lots of fruits, eat lots of grains, eat all this stuff, right? So if you're on the grapefruit diet or the banana diet, you're breaking the word of wisdom and you don't get a temple recommend. You're cut off. Sorry. But it's true. They ask you that question, right? And you can't say, now that you've learned this, you can't say yes to that question when they ask you that. All right. So there's your plan. This is your health plan. Whenever you start doing something, ask yourself, is it in my P category? Is it in my L category? Is it going to be in my A or is it going to be in my N? Or does it not even fit in here? It doesn't fit in here? Don't do it. You can name like every vitamin supplement in the world, and guess what? It falls under one of these categories. Name me one. Try it. The omega-3 fatty acids, what are they? They're nutrients. They fall in the N category. So if you're taking like 50 different supplements, get rid of them. You only need like 4. Get a good detoxifying supplement. Get a good antioxidant. Get a good digestive enzyme and a good whole food multivitamin. And you're set. That's it. Are you taking spirulina powder or green smoothies? Those are all nutrition. Are you taking enzymes or probiotics? Those are all assimilation enhancers. Are you taking all the berries and goji juice? Or those are all antioxidants. Are you doing a liver cleanse or a colon cleanser? Those are all up here. Just find the best in each category and choose one of them. That's it for supplementation. It's that simple. And it'll save you hundreds of dollars. I know people spending $500, $600 a month on supplements. And if you follow the plan and get good products, a good whole food multivitamin is like 40 bucks. A really good antioxidant is like 30 to 40 bucks. A good one of these, 20 or 30. A good one of this, maybe 30 or 40. 120 bucks. And you're following the plan. Not $500, okay, or something like that.